This is kind of the problem of believing that human rights and morality comes from the Bible. This is one of the problems. I don't know the case with this web designer who doesn't want to design websites for LGBTQ clients. Maybe there is some freedom of hers that maybe she should be allowed to design websites for whoever she pleases. Okay, let's see what's next on the ideological front, on the my side is better than your side front, or the my side is better for America than your side front.
But they're also focused in, like a laser beam, the Democrats are, on making sure that other federal employees are unable to do their jobs. Their latest target is, of course, Amy Coney Barrett. Why? Well, because Amy Coney Barrett is a conservative religious woman. And so a bunch of people on the left are now demanding that Amy Coney Barrett recuse herself from a Supreme Court case on free speech and LGBT issues. Why? Because the idea is that because she is personally against gay marriage, this means she cannot rule judicially.
First of all, any group of people on the left who are making some kind of a statement that Amy Coney Barrett should recuse herself from anything related to LGBTQ issues, they're obviously dreaming. I mean, they're not. I hope that they don't expect that Amy Coney Barrett is just going to say, oh, well, maybe you're right. I guess I better just step down from this decision and not wield my power on things related to LGBTQ issues because I just have a personal belief against gay marriage. So I'm just going to go ahead and step down. Certainly, this is more of a political statement, whoever is trying to encourage her to recuse herself. I mean, they're dreaming because they would have to know that that's not going to happen.
On the issue, which is strange because I guarantee you that all four liberal members of the court are pro-same-sex marriage.
Yes, that's how this all should work. So people, whether they're in the judicial branch or whether they're any other decision makers in government, it's just grade school common knowledge that the Constitution needs to come first, no matter what ideological opinions are. Yes, there are liberal members in the Supreme Court. Yes, these members of the Supreme Court are okay with gay marriage, and they're for gay marriage, and they're for LGBTQ rights. And there are also members of the Supreme Court who aren't so keen on gay marriage and aren't so keen on LGBTQ rights. But hopefully none of them, I mean, this probably does not describe Amy Coney Barrett, but I would hope that all of them would put human freedoms first above their religion. If you're not harming somebody, you should be free to live how you want to live. And I would hope that even if you're for gay marriage or against gay marriage, freedom has to come first. I'm sure that Amy Coney Barrett isn't. This is kind of the problem of believing that human rights and morality comes from the Bible. This is one of the problems. A lot of unfair legislation could potentially stem from this belief that all morality stems from the Bible. I personally have big problems with how the evangelicals on the far right, how they interpret the Bible. I have personal beliefs against some of the content that is cherished by religious people. But I would never want to live in a country that bans this stuff or doesn't allow people to believe what they want, because I believe in free thought, free speech. I believe in people being allowed to do whatever they want to do that makes them happy, even the religious ones that I disagree with. So hopefully, regardless of people in the Supreme Court who are against gay marriage, people in the Supreme Court who are okay with gay marriage, hopefully they would put human freedom and human rights ahead of their personal beliefs. Again, I don't want to pretend that I'm ignorant to the fact that in all reality, Amy Coney Barrett is probably not going to adjudicate this way, but that's the goal.
I guarantee it. Are they all supposed to recuse themselves at this point?
No, the liberal members of the Supreme Court shouldn't recuse themselves just because they are fine with gay marriage, because the goal should be to put your dislikes and personal likes aside and adjudicate based on human freedom.
It's a very strange argument. Former members of the People of Praise organization recently told The Guardian the justice's lifelong and continued membership in the Christian group means she cannot rule impartially in the case surrounding a Colorado web designer who says her religious beliefs prevent her from creating custom wedding websites that celebrate same-sex marriage. So apparently, if you believe in God, you're not allowed to rule on any issue involving religion in front of the Supreme Court, which means, by default, the only people who would get to rule on these particular issues, wait for it, are secularists who don't believe in God.
No, the people who should have a say in the Supreme Court or other courts, who should make decisions, are people who weigh people's freedoms and rights.
That's the way the game works. If you're secular, you can rule on anything. If you're religious, you have to recuse yourself.
You shouldn't have to recuse yourself unless your religion makes it impossible for you to fairly judge a case. If Amy Coney Barrett is going to always judge against the rights of the LGBTQ community because she believes that our morality comes from the Bible, then yes, that is indeed a big problem, if that's the case. If a secularist will always judge against somebody who believes in God, of course, that would also be a problem. If secularists are for some kind of freedom, gay marriage, or any other kind of freedom, if they're putting the Constitution first, then of course it's not a problem for some secularist to judge in Supreme Court cases. And if a believer, a Christian or a Jewish person, also has the ability to put their belief aside for a moment, their personal beliefs and their personal sensibilities and their personal views of what they would want for themselves personally, if they can put that aside, then they also should be able to judge impartially. I don't know the case with this web designer who doesn't want to design websites for LGBTQ customers, LGBTQ clients. Maybe there is some freedom of hers that maybe she should be allowed to design websites for whoever she pleases. I don't know the case. Maybe it's true that if customers want to have a website designed for them and one web designer doesn't want to do it, maybe they should simply go to a web designer who's a little bit more enlightened, and maybe they should simply just go elsewhere and not force a business owner to design something for them against that business owner's will. Maybe a judge who has the Constitution in mind, maybe a judge who has human freedoms in mind, maybe a judge who has human rights in mind would indeed judge in favor of the web designer and say, no, this person has rights too. They shouldn't be forced to design something for somebody that they don't want to design.
Now, normally you would just say, well, duh to this, but the left insists that the only people who ought to be major decision makers in the United States are people who agree with them. Everybody else, if you're a religious person, this means that you're a religious bigot and you should be recused from any important case, which means the only people who get to decide on freedom of religion are, of course, people who don't believe in God.
I don't think it's the opinion of the left that the only people who can be judges are those who are secularists, who will automatically judge in favor of the LGBTQ community or anything that goes against the Bible. I don't think that that's the viewpoint. I think that most people believe that a judge should always side in favor of human rights, of human freedoms, and they should weigh a case in light of that, the Constitution and human freedoms. I think that it's not a matter of if you have to hate God to be a judge, or you have to be an atheist to be a judge, or you have to be a secularist to be a judge. Ben is being a little too unnuanced here. It's not about, oh, you have to recuse yourself unless you're a secularist. That's not the issue here. The issue is if you have a religious belief that you hold strongly to, and this religious belief will automatically make you partial against the LGBTQ community, then yes, that is a problem. That is the problem with believing that morality stems from the Bible. If you believe that morality stems from the Bible, then you are going to be against many different human rights, because oftentimes the Bible is against basic human rights.